I will say I was gleeful about one thing. Your reporting from inside the courthouse read like a Grisham novel. You were talking about people sweltering, the courtroom packed. I could also almost see Matthew McConaughey sweating inside. You know, Judge, I got to take a recess. I got to wash all the sweat off my face.
No AC in those courtrooms.
No, yeah.
That was the 90s.
It was the 90s.
Anyway.
And did you see Ashley Judge?
Yeah.
I was like, come on, they're going to have to revive her.
I know.
Okay. But Jim, it really was an extraordinary scene inside that courthouse. Take us there and tell us what you know.
Well, first of all, I heard mention of the courthouse steps. That's the cliche, the settlement's courthouse steps. The jury was impaneled. The lawyers are raring to go. As my colleague Jeremy Peters wrote in the paper today, the lapel mics were on. I mean, these lawyers were ready for combat. So when that stops out of the blue, and we're sitting there for hours, I mean, the rumors were, was there bad sushi with the lunch from the jury? So it was just this crazy moment. The other lawyers in the room had not really seen anything like that happen before. So wild moment, and there you have it, settlement, which so many people have predicted all along, but people here on the ground in Delaware, you know, their job was to litigate, and these lawyers were prepped. There were 40 boxes brought into this building. This was going to be a huge trial. So just a crazy moment.
Jim, you've been covering this case for a long time now. Are you surprised at the way that Fox handled or mishandled this, which is to say, all the stuff got out, all the discovery was out there for the world to see, all the texts and the emails, we saw the truth. The whole world saw it, and then they still settled. In hindsight, or have you heard from some people internally at Fox who said, yeah, we should have settled several months ago if that was where this was headed?
Well, there's still a lot more that we want to know about that because of course, I'm surprised. I mean, this was an inordinate amount of discovery. Now, I do know that Fox was surprised that this much discovery was allowed to be seen publicly initially. That wasn't a given. The judge allowed some of that to happen. So I think some things were unforeseen by them. Maybe they should have been foreseen. I don't know. But I am really surprised that it got this far before it settled. And by the way, I want to say one thing about this settlement amount. So it's almost $800 million. Their net income in the last fiscal year was $1.2 billion. So this is like a huge amount of annual net income. That's an amazing number.
So, Jim, we heard from the head of Dominion yesterday suggesting that, though we're obviously pleased with this, that there were other people who needed to be held to account, that they sensed that there would be others that they would seek damages from. Who are they?
Well, first of all, Dominion has several other cases going. There's Mike Lindell, Newsmax, and then you have separately these Smartmatic suits. I don't see how Newsmax can gut through a case the way that Fox just did. I mean, look at the resources that Rupert Murdoch has. But you know. They're also a smaller company. They don't have the money to settle the way that Rupert Murdoch did. I mean, again, almost $800 million. So there's going to be a lot more coming forward here.
Can I ask you about that, though, Jim, really quickly about Newsmax? We had that moment where you had an anchor when Mike Lindell, Mr. Pillow, came on and started lying. The anchor literally got out of his chair and basically, in the words of Eric Cartman, he basically said, screw you guys, I'm going home. He got up and walked off the set. Doesn't that show that Newsmax at least tried to move beyond and they made their apologies and tried to mitigate any possible damages?
Well, that was certainly a moment. And but the thing that surprises me, Joe, is that we see those moments and then I don't know, it never seems to be lasting across this part of the media sphere. So we'll see, right? I mean, Fox News, even during this trial, Tucker Carlson had been airing. He did special reports about January 6th, disputing what happened on January 6th. So, you know, we'll see how much this. Now there's a settlement. People are always seem ready to move on with today's attention spans, to say the least.
So, Jim, we read earlier the statement from Fox News and the slightly ambiguous comment about they accept the court's findings that there may have been some things wrong about what was said about Dominion. Is there anything in this settlement that will impact, in a legal way possibly or any other way, how Fox covers the 2024 election and the outcome of that election?
Again, that remains to be seen. You're seeing a lot of punditry already overnight that this is not going to change anything, that Fox will go forward the way they always go forward, and maybe there's a repeat here. I do want to say there is no planet on which Fox enjoyed this process. There is no way, as Joe pointed out earlier, that this was good for them to have all these internal communications out in the public, and there's no way that Wall Street's going to sit by if there's $800 million settlement after $800 million settlement. So there are various disincentives, but are they trumped by the ratings incentives, the competitive incentives, and what the audience wants, which is kind of the holy grail in the media sphere right now?
So, Jim, let me ask you really quickly on this, just an economics question. Fox News, obviously, I mean, they've been number one since like 1999.
Force.
On and off, but 90% of the time they've been number one. They're a cash cow for Murdoch's empire, a cash cow. But I read something that like $4 billion. They got like $4 billion in cash, right? 800 million's a lot.
They do.
You look at Smartmatic, you got another maybe 800 million. Maybe they don't settle with Smartmatic. Maybe that becomes $1 billion. I mean, suddenly that shakes any organization, any corporation to its core. And the board says, okay, you're going to have to put somebody in charge at Fox News that actually puts up guardrails. Because I know, and Jim, you'll probably agree with me here, no matter what you thought of Roger Ailes, there were guardrails up there. When Glenn Beck went through the guardrails, he fired him. If O'Reilly said something on a night that he had problems with, he called him in. He goes, you went past the line. And again, I know a lot of people hated him, but there were guardrails on, you couldn't like accuse American democracy of being rigged. And this has cost them $800 million. Do you think that this impact, the impact of maybe another $800 billion, finally gets them to move and put somebody in charge at Fox News that actually puts guardrails up?
Well, there was talk even before this trial that there was a new kind of added layer of some editorial oversight. Again, you hear that.
You just said this past week Tucker Carlson is lying about January the 6th. While this trial is going on, for the love of God. I mean, is there nobody on the board? And again, this is not about politics. This is just about business. Is there nobody on the board that says, maybe we should stop exposing ourselves to billion-dollar lawsuits?
Well, Paul Ryan, in fact, is a member of that board. He had been voicing some of that. And the other thing was...
It's a serious question. It's a serious question. You know what? Not to quote Logan Roy, I love some of these people, but they're not serious people. They're really not. Like, I mean, how does any board? I talked to one CEO after another CEO after another CEO that runs big companies. They don't know how this is allowed to happen at a company. An $800 billion exposure. They've got another 800 million, and they've humiliated all of their hosts. They could have protected their hosts from this humiliation, so they've humiliated them. It's the worst of all worlds. They're exposed. And so my point is, they print money. They don't print that much money. At what point is there a reckoning over there and they put somebody in charge that puts guardrails up editorially?
Well, there's another thing that we haven't mentioned is that there could also be some shareholder lawsuits. Depending on how much of this $800 million is covered, by the way, they have libel insurance. It's always really hard to figure out to find out how much that will cover. But there could be some shareholder lawsuits that would be added pressure on the network.
So, Eddie.